Hello and welcome to the first episode in my ETC tutorial series. In this episode, I will attempt to teach you the basics of the ETC desk in the space of around 10 minutes. I learnt the software from three main places, the first being friends at college, the second being ETC's online tutorials, and the third being from a programmer I met while doing work experience at a theatre. I hope that you will be able to learn something from these videos, and I hope that it will be enough to get you up to scratch in programming as quick as possible. In the next video, we will focus on more advanced programming concepts. So without further ado, let's begin. To begin with, let's go over the main pages that you have on the desk. This is the live summary view. It shows you basic information about the channels that you have access to and that you patched in. This is the queue list view. It shows you queues that you have programmed. For those of you familiar with the desk, we will be using tracking mode for these tutorials. More on that in the next episode for those who aren't so familiar. In order to get our lights to flash when we want them to, we need to tell our desk how to talk to them. This is called patching. To do this, we need to find the patch view. To do this, click the plus button to create a new tab. Then find the patch view and click on it. This will open the patch window. I have 5 par cans with different gels in and 2 Martin Mac 250s to patch, so let's do those now. To patch the par cans, it is an easy task. First, type 1 through 5 into the keyboard, or 1T5 if you're using Nomad. Then we need to select the fixture type. To do this, click on Type, and then click on Dimmer. We have told the desk the type and channel of the fixture, but not the DMX address where we want the fixture to be controlled from. To do this, click on the starting DMX address in this black box over here. In my case, this address is 1. This will patch our fixture in. Notice how the desk has automatically patched all of the DMX addresses in sequence. To make the lights do something, let's go back to the summary view by clicking the tab at the bottom. Then let's make all of the fixtures turn on. So in order to do this, type 1 through 5, or 1T5 if you're using Nomad, to select all of the channels, and then press at full, or in Nomad's case AF, and then press enter to put all of the fixtures at full intensity. We can also select individual channels, so let's say we don't want channel 3 so bright anymore. So to take out only that channel, what we can do is we can press 3 at 25 or A25 and then press enter. This will set the intensity of the lantern to 25%. Let's patch in those moving heads. Multi-channel fixtures work in the same way as generics in that you can patch them in chunks. So let's go back to the patch view and select our channels like usual. I will be using 6 and 7 for my movers. But instead of choosing dimmer after we click type, you can click manufacturer down here. Using this left box over here, we can scroll along until we see Martin. You can then select our Mac 250s in this box over here. I'm using NTORs. It then prompts us to select our channel modes. I'm using extended. Like before, we can then select our DMX addresses we want to use. Mine start on channel 6. Much like the par cans, the fixtures are patched sequentially like this. Let's go back into our main view. As you can see, the layout has changed a bit. If yours doesn't look like this, then you can press Format if you're on a desk or F4 if you're on Nomad, and this will cycle between the two different layouts. We can now turn up the intensity of the movers like we did with the par cans by typing 6 through 7 at full. This will turn on our moving heads. We can position the movers by selecting the channels, then clicking the up arrow at the side of the console, then clicking pan or tilt. I will tilt my movers to 100. However, let's say we don't like that position and we want them to face straight up again. We could tilt them to 0, but instead what we will do is we will home the movers, which will also reset the different settings that we have on it, for example, beam, shutter strobe, or gobos. So to set the movers to their default position, we can select the channels in the same way that we do with normal fixtures, and then we can press home. This works on either Nomad or a normal keyboard. Then you can press enter and the movers will find home. In the same way that we change the position of our fixtures, we can also change other settings. However, it may prove to be easier to change some of those settings in a different way. So let's try choosing a new color. First, let's select the fixtures. Then, we can click on this button at the top of the screen to open this drop-down menu. We can select a color here. Let's try magenta. You may also notice that we can control other parameters like movement a lot easier. Let's scroll across and select a gobo first, however. I like this one. However, our fixtures are still facing the ceiling, so let's move them down in this window with the box to position them. I can't get the pan quite right, so we can use these wheels to control the lanterns a little bit finer. Notice how the further away I move my mouse from the center of the wheel, the faster the wheel will begin to move. Let's position the pan right in the middle. Perfect. Actually, I'm not a fan of the color, so let's home the color first. And then let's choose a different color. Orange looks cool. Notice how pressing the home button up here will only home the color settings for this fixture, not the whole fixture. However, despite all of this, our scene still looks a little bit plain, so let's see if we can introduce some movement. Let's make our gobos spin. Over here, we can click rotation on the gobo that we just selected, and we can turn up the speed. Let's turn it up a little bit. This is a little bit too fast for me, so let's bring it down. This looks appropriate. This scene's starting to look pretty good. Now that we have a template that we are happy with, let's save it. Let's make this scene 1. To save the scene, we can type record Q1 or RQ1 on Nomad. This will save our current values to a new queue. Now if we take a look at our scene list, we can see that we now have a new queue. Notice how on our live table, our values have changed to blue. Now let's take all of the lanterns out and save this as Q2. This will be our blackout queue. We can select all of the channels and put them out, however there is an easier way. Let's type go to queue, out. On Nomad this is Ctrl G and then O, and then press enter. This will take out all of our values. We can then record this in the same way that we did before. Let's record this as Q2, so RQ2, and then press enter. This will then record as our second queue. Let's try running for our queue list. Let's first go to the queue list tab, and then go to our Q1 in the same way we did with go to queue out. Type go to queue 1, and then press enter. If you are using a desk, you could press the go button to go to the next queue. However, if you are using Nomad, I recommend enabling your spacebar as your go button. Press Alt and G to enable using spacebar as go. Then press go, and watch your first transition to blank. I don't think that went quite fast enough, so let's change the timing. Type Q2 and then time free or Q2I free on Nomad to change the time to be 3 seconds. press the back button or control space to go back into your first queue again. Now press go again and we can see the change occur a lot faster. Okay, so now that we are happy with our queue list, let's save them. First, let's press the triangle button next to the command line. Then click File, then click Save As. This is where you select your folder and save the file. I'm going to save it to the root directory for my drive now. Double click on the folder you want to save your file in, then click OK. Now enter the name you want to give your show file, and then press enter. This will save the show file to the disk. Actually, I've decided I don't like my second queue, so let's delete that. Type delete q1 or del q1 on Nomad and press enter, and then press enter one more time to confirm. Actually, I've just realized I deleted the first queue by accident. At least all hope is not lost. So to fix this, we can type undo and press enter. On Nomad, this is Control X. And all we have to do is press enter, and our queue is back. Okay, so watching over this final edit, I'm not as happy as I'd like to be with the final state of the tutorial. The beginning went okay, but I just wish I still had my voice for the end of it, because playback and utilities turned out to be not as nice as I'd like it to. Spreading out the recording of the tutorials over multiple days, I'd say, is what the culprit of this is. So in the future, I'm going to try to record every single video in one day and edit the same day, so then I can see in advance what I'm happy with and what I'm not happy with, and if I'm not happy with anything, then I can re-record that individual section. But the advanced tutorial is definitely going to change from this, and I hope it's going to be a lot better and the production quality is going to be a lot better. The advanced tutorial will probably come out after the show, when I've learned more advanced techniques and functions of the desk for using it. So stay tuned for that after I stop uploading the vlogs, or keep uploading the vlogs but not based around the show. And if you feel like you've learned something from this tutorial, then please feel free to leave a like and share what you liked in the comments and I can keep it up. But if you didn't like something, then tell me how I can improve it in the next video. Just leave a comment below and I will try to respond to it as quick as I can. Thank you for watching, and I will see you in the next video.
Take me away from the hurt and despair, so I'm keeping it vertical, forever elevator. Riding the escalator to something that is greater, so I'm drifting away like a feather in air, letting my soul take me away from the hurt and despair, so I'm keeping it vertical, forever elevator. Riding the escalator to